All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's open forum. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Paul Massey, the head of Samaritan Mortgage Group, and we're going to talk to Paul about all kinds of things, but have your questions ready for him. He's going to tell us a few things about what's going on in the market, what he sees going on, the kind of products he has that can help us get some deals done, and then he'll do a little Q&A with us afterwards. He's been very gracious to offer us his time this morning. Mr. Massey, welcome,
Yes, sir.
and
Thank
I'll
you.
turn it over to you.
Okay, well, first of all, you did a great job choosing a good day to have this meeting. Okay, so the reason that I say that is we have been getting crushed, and I know all of you know this, even if you've been finding my daily temp email somewhere in rates in the last week and a half. So our last jobs report was kind of a disaster. We averaged, or we forecasted 156,000 jobs to be added, and we were off by about 100,000. That has been unfortunately par for the course, so it sends rates in a tailspin. But this morning we got a tailspin in the right direction. Okay, so it's the first time we've had something to celebrate all year for sure in the rate world. So the core CPI index came out, and it came out below expectations. For you, those of you who don't know what the heck is that, CPI is a measure of the average change over time in the prices paid by consumers for a representative basket of consumer goods and services. So whenever that's thrown off and below expectations, it can cause a downhill spiral in rates. So far this morning, the MBS market has come down 44 basis points, which is, quite a bit. It's almost a half a point. And the 10-year bond market is down, I think, 15 basis points right now. So that's really good news for us. The bond market was pretty eager for positive news. It rallied this morning. The 10-year bond right now is 4.69 compared to 4.80 that it was yesterday. And like I said, those mortgage-backed securities are down a half a point. And this morning, with this news, Fed futures have come out and said, hey, now we're leaning towards 2 more 25 basis point rate cuts this year. So last week, what threw everything off too is they said, hey, we think we're only going to do 1 more rate cut. It's going to be around 31 basis points. So in less than a week, they've kind of thrown that off axis again and said, hey, we're going to need to drop this a little bit more. So that's a good sign. The unfortunate part is the talking heads and the people that are really steering the ship can change their mind 50% in a week. But that's just kind of the new normal that we're dealing with. But today is a good day. Rates have come down quite a bit. And we're going to see that in our afternoon rate updates. So anybody that's been on the fence, you can always get with me and find out exactly what they came to. And anybody that's been waiting to lock in, today would be the day.
Awesome. Paul, last week I texted you. They don't know this, but I texted you. We were talking about 2-1 buy down. Someone asked a question about 2-1 buy downs. Are people really doing them? And I texted you about their popularity,
Yes.
How many were doing them and all that stuff. You texted me back, and I think we had just adjourned. So share with these fine people what you told me about the 2-1 buy downs, how popular they are.
So they're a tool, right? And just like any tool, they're not to be used all the time. Okay, when there's a specific need for them and it makes sense, let's use it. So I wouldn't say that we use them a lot, but it just depends. You got to know your customer, right? You got to know if they're not in, let's say that they're not too psyched about where the market is, the mortgage payment's going to be a little bit higher than what they anticipated when they decided to buy a home. In situations like that, where we can lower that interest rate by 2% during the first year of the transaction, and then 1% after that can go a long way for those clients. But it's really got to be the right situation specifically for that client. You may also have somebody that's like a doctor that's in that's just in their training, and they're not making a bunch, and they're going to make a lot more in a couple years from now than they're making right now. That program can be a lot because you're giving them an insulated experience for the first couple years. And if you do believe, like I believe, that we're also in a decreasing rate environment, then it pays, right? Because you get to relax for a couple years, and then you're going to refinance out of it anyway. So you never actually get that hit of that higher interest rate. The other thing that's great about it, from a buyer's agent's perspective, if you are negotiating seller paid closing costs, and you are negotiating part of those closing costs to cover the cost of a 2-1 buy down, and your buyer refinances in a year or a year and a half, the money that the seller paid for that buy down gets refunded back to the buyer. So they actually get money back if they haven't used all of that concession that the seller gave up front for the buy down. So it's not like if you don't use it, you lose it. You actually do get it back no matter what.
Excellent.
Is that about what we talked about? I feel like that's what we covered. Maybe not as much on text.
No, not as much. It was different, different analogies and stuff. I think.
Can you just run that one more time?
Just the
That 2-1.
how it
Go
works,
through 2-1
basically.
again one more time.
Yeah.
Paul, cover briefly what it is. Cover briefly what it is. We talked about that last week, but cover
Okay.
briefly what it is too.
So let's just say theoretically rates are 7.5%, right? When you do a 2-1 buy down, the first year of the loan, the rate will be 2% lower than the final rate for years years 3 through 30, essentially. Okay. So they're going to get a 2% rate reduction in year one. So instead of 7.5, they'd be at 5.5. Then in year 2 of the loan, they're going to be at 6.5 instead of the 7.5. And then in year 3, they start their 7.5% journey until the end of the loan. Okay. Now, the cost of those products is essentially the difference in interest between what they've got currently and the final interest rate, right? So whatever the difference in payment is between 5.5 and 7.5 is a cost that ends up being a closing cost that the seller can pay. Okay. And if they close on that and they don't have the loan for those full 2 years, then they will get the difference refunded back to them that they did not use. Does that make sense? Also, guys, I have a calculator that I can send you where if you are negotiating closing costs, I don't care if you're using me or not. I mean, sometimes you have control over that, sometimes you don't, right? But I can send you a calculator where you can plug it in and it'll tell you how much you need to ask for.
Please, that'll really be helpful.
Okay, yeah, so I'll do that. And then even on the listing side, if you have, I mean, I heard you saying, Ryan, in the beginning of the call that we're getting more listings right now, and it's tougher on sales, but we're getting a lot of listings. In that case, if you want to entice a buyer, right, you might advertise on the Realtor Remarks that you're willing to offer a 2-1 buy down to a prospective buyer and that you will cover that cost. So the only way for you to have that conversation correctly with your seller is if you let me tell you how much that's actually going to cost them, right? There's also another product called a 3-2-1 buy down, and it's essentially the same concept, right, guys? It's just 3% lower for the first year, then 2%, then 1%, then the final rate.
And so obviously that's a lot more expensive. One thing though, also on the listing side is you guys have actually asked me this question before. People have asked you for $10,000 for a 2-1 buy down. And that's not even an accurate number. So that number is going to give you, even if you're on the listing side, it helps you realize what it would be when someone asks you for a 2-1, even if you don't prepare them, because maybe you know your seller's not going to go for that. I got to pay these commissions, I got to pay this, I got to pay that. And you want me to, offer them, entice them with an interest rate reduction. So another concession. So this kind of gives them an idea when someone asks for $10,000 or $20,000 for a 2-1 buy down, you can actually say, well, it's actually only going to cost us $8,000 or $12,000, whatever it's going to be.
Right.
And you get a reasonable thing for that, because they have to get, Paul, they can't just do 10,000. If it's $12,400 for a 2-1 buy down for this particular loan amount, they can't just take $10,000 toward that. They have to take the whole thing, right?
They can do a portion of it.
They can do a year and a half of this.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put whatever we want on the seller side that the seller's willing to pay.
But the buyer absolutely cannot pay it.
The buyer can pay it too.
Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't make as much sense for the buyer because they're just delaying the inevitable. They're paying the interest up front. They might as well just put the money in another account and subsidize their own payment at that point.
Okay.
So a question. So the benefit would be, even though they're paying the upfront interest, so they would have a lower payment for the first year, third year, second year, or whatever. That would be the benefit. That's how to sell it then, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It can be beneficial to anybody. I mean, if somebody's, going to be a commission employee, or they're a good portion of their income is going to be commission or bonus, and that's not going to happen for a year and a half. This could be a product to get them into the house, get them comfortable with their monthly income, and insulate their payment for the first 2 or 3 years.
This goes hand in hand, Miguel, with what everybody was doing a couple of years ago when the rate started going up, was marry the house and date the rate. This goes with hand in hand with that, and you're kind of gambling that you're going to be able to refinance at a lower rate in the future.
Correct.
I think too.
Yeah.
Which is what we think that the market is going to be within 2 to 3 years. Will probably be in the 3s and the 4s, I would think.
I don't think so. I think we're probably, I think if we get in the high 5s, like 5.875, I would say that's a huge victory at this point.
Okay, good. Yeah. But everybody makes money with 5.
Yeah, I think that's healthy for sure. 5.875 to 6.25, I think, is where we should level out. I think it's a good market for buyers and a good market for sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. Lenders will be happy doing that.
We'd be happy with anything other than what we have right now.
Okay.
Anything moving. They're just like us. They just want things to move.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, it's and that's the thing too, guys. We are all in this together. I know in the last 60 days, the market's been just underwhelming. I would say, right? But we just got to keep pushing and keep filling that piñata, because eventually it'll burst, right? But it's tough right now. But we're here for you. That's why we want to use some of these products, and that's why I'm sure Ryan reached out to me on it, is looking for an edge. What's going to give us an edge to get some people going that wouldn't normally go. And there's probably some people that are working with other agents right now that aren't thinking of these things. So they're going to be looking for a new agent, and these products might be the thing that gets them over the edge.
Yeah, absolutely could. And because that buy down is the kind of thing that makes things fit in their budget. And so, Paul, when I call you with or go in your app or do whatever with a new buyer, can I work? Will you give me a pre-approval with this amount that I can pay if I get a 2-1? For example, if my client can pay $2,400 a month or $3,800 a month, whatever they can pay, will you give me an approval amount that reflects that with a 2-1, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first 2 questions we ask every buyer, even if you don't communicate it to us, is the maximum they want to pay on a monthly basis and the most out-of-pocket expense that they're comfortable with, right? So we do that with every approval, guys. So if somebody wants a $3,000 payment and that equals a $425,000 purchase price for their down payment and where they want to be, then we will say, hey, here's exactly where you want to be. This is where you should shop around. Here's also how much trouble you can get yourself into, meaning what you actually qualify for and what payment that equals. And we'll usually do $25,000 to $50,000 increments of everything in between. So that way they have a clear understanding of where they think they want to be. And then if they decide they want to stretch a little bit, they know what that equals to.
Okay, excellent. They like to stretch.
Yeah, they do. Like everybody kind of thinks one thing when they start, and then, they drive off the lot in the Corvette. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think they want that 3.2 somewhere, and they end up in a 4.3 and somewhere else.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure. Yeah, we do a good job of showing them, a couple of good ones, couple of dogs, let them know where they stand and what they need to do.
For sure.
As long as they're capable of that.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for that.
Awesome. Who else has a question for Paul? You guys ask me lending questions all the time, so let's hear something for Paul. Paul's a wealth of knowledge. Not just about lending; he knows a lot about everything. But
everything. Yeah.
Let's keep it real estate related. Yeah. Anybody have a question for Paul?
Come on, guys. You got
it. Paul, let me ask you. So, are you doing any residential lots, vacant lots?
We do. We'll do 70% financing on this. And I just want to let you guys know, I just took the moratorium off of anybody other than Miguel asking questions. So you guys feel free. But anyway, yeah, we can do vacant land. If it's someone that wants to build like immediately thereafter, like they're looking for more of a construction of permanent loan, we actually do refer those out right now. We're coming out with a product that's going to offer that in the next 30 days. But it's not quite here yet. So at the end of the day, the way that we look at everything is, if we can't be great at it, we just don't want to do it. So if it's a loan product that we can't just crush it on, we'll at least tell you who will. So you'll be in good hands regardless.
Okay, so I just want to, so you'll do 70% loan to value on a residential lot, huh?
Correct.
Okay, does they need to have any GC or anybody ready to build, or
We're
that's
just talking about
not
a certain land, just a land loan. So if they want
Good.
to finance a construction project, we'll refer those out right now.
No, I'm more interested in the land loan. That's more what I have clients to do. So that's good. Any and it happens I have a lot of investors. Any mobile homes or manufactured housing?
We do mobile homes, manufactured housing. I can send you a list of all the parameters of that, like when the property has to be built by, that it has to be on a permanent foundation. It can never have been moved. There cannot be any additions that were ever done to it. So I can send that stuff out if that's something you run into a lot.
Yeah, I do. I do have a couple of investors who want to go ahead and invest in invest in that. There's a lot of people who don't qualify for traditional credit to get the rental.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect area that they want to go ahead and put mobile homes on for rent, because it makes it easier to rent, and you rent it as same price as a regular home. But there's a big market out there for this. So that I'm really looking forward to getting that information. I have something pending right now that'll be good for me to hear from you as well. How about do you do any okay, you don't do any commercial in any way?
We don't.
No kind of business or anything like that?
Nope. Not a one.
Just maximum 1 to 4 dwelling, that's it?
Correct.
Condos?
Yep. We can do warrantable, non-warrantable. We don't have any Fannie, Freddie, FHA, or VA overlays on that stuff. So it's straight agency guidelines, and we can do it all. And we have our non-conforming stuff. We'll do non-warrantable condos too.
How's your DSCR?
It's good. It's as good as it gets. So we can go down to 0.75, and
Very nice.
that's something we use a lot.
All right, and then bank statement and P&Ls as well. Is that?
Yeah, we do. We're doing a P&L program right now. Somebody less than 2 years. We do bank statement programs. We actually have a primary 25% down, no doc loan right now.
Oh my God, that is fantastic! I have somebody ready sitting with money. So you do ITIN and as well?
We do.
Good. Okay.
The
Yeah,
only
we got
sandbox we don't like to play in is the construction to perm.
Yeah, that could be difficult, and it's very complicated unless you're working with a general contractor.
It's just, you want to portfolio that stuff, and you've got to have the cap. It's good. It's a good bank product for sure.
First-time home buyers, FHA, that you require a certificate for first-time home buyer programs.
Unless the first-time home buyer program requires a certificate, we don't have any overlays on top.
Okay, I always send them over to do a first-time home buyer program. It just really prepares people, especially who are leery with the market and getting in the first time. So I have them do that as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Hard money?
We have some hard money, yeah.
Okay, so you got some non-institutional lending. That's what
some hard money, all that kind of stuff.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to see your rate sheet. You provide a daily rate sheet?
We not for hard money. Those
no, not from hard money, for your other products and stuff.
Yeah, once I save you in our system, you'll automatically get that every day.
Okay, one more, and I'm sorry, Ryan. Looking at you have a single standing HELOCs.
We do.
And okay, and even in second position to be okay and all of that.
Yeah, we assume they're going to be in second position. Yeah.
Good. Okay. And cash out all 80% most.
Yep. Yeah, we just follow agency guidelines again on that stuff. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll think of something else. Let somebody else.
I love it. Those are great.
Keep them coming, man. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
I'm just smiling over here. I love it.
That was awesome.
Okay. Miguel's our spokesperson today. I love it. All right. Miguel, Chad says hit him up if he needs commercial lending. He's got a few different people that he works with.
Right.
Martisha wants to know, can you work with first-time buyers over 720 credit, but no credit history, or credit history is under 24 months?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Anne has a question for you.
Yes, hi. I have two listings. One is land, 4.3 acre, and some wetland on it, and a house in Devonport. Do you have any program like help realtor to market for people? Doesn't have to be cash buyer
Send me
to
the listing. I'm just going to make sure that, I mean, everything you told me doesn't sound alarming in any way, but I'd like to see the listing for sure. So the worst case scenario is I could send that to our conventional appraisal team and make sure they don't think there'd be any appraisal issues with it.
Awesome. Can I
What-
send to you?
Yeah, send it to me directly for sure.
Okay.
Paul,
Thank
Ann, I think already has your information, but if you'll put it in the,
Yeah.
if we put it in the chat anyway, when you get a chance.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Yes.
Okay,
One more question. How low of a score will you do somebody?
We don't have any score requirements for FHA or VA. It's whatever DU will approve, which is the automated system that's required to run it through.
Okay.
And so yeah, good on that.
Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of 500s out there.
Yeah, there are for sure.
But you know, these 500s are good. You know, they have stable jobs. You know, all of these things are coming. This is interesting. I just read in the news yesterday that possibly and I don't know how, if you've seen anything on how long that would take, but there's a bill or something that just got approved where medical debt will not be included in mortgages anymore or in a credit report and affect mortgages and stuff. Have you seen anything like that? Because that's the other thing that a lot of people have, medical debt, and which really affects them in many ways in order to qualify.
We don't care about medical debt. So some companies might. Now it can affect their credit score, that's for sure. So I'm not sure when that stuff's going to start peeling off, if there's going to be things that are grandfathered in. Who knows? You know how these bills are. They approve something and then by the time it actually takes shape could be a lot longer. So but we don't look at medical collections in a negative light. So it's never been something that's not anyway, not in the most recent history. So we don't care if somebody has medical collections.
Good.
all right. Let's move forward. Carolina, it says Stella, but it's Carolina.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I have a seller and the roof needs replacement. He's not willing to change it before the transaction, but he's willing to give credit. And the house doesn't have insurance at the moment. Will that be an issue?
We don't care if the seller has insurance. So let's knock that out first. That's their problem. So we don't care about that. So if we were representing the buyer and the buyer could not get insurance, if it's just because of the age of the roof, then we can probably do an extra holdback and be done with it.
Okay, and so let's say the roof estimate comes to like 20,000. Is that an issue with the maximum allowance?
There is no maximum allowance on an escrow holdback. It just got to make sense. So it should be that 20 grand should probably coincide with the price of the property, right? Like it should make sense. If it was like, let's say it was a $300,000 property and they're putting on a $60,000 tile concrete roof, we're not going to do it. It's got to make sense, right? If it's right, if it makes sense and it's reasonable for the property, then yes, we can do an escrow holdback and stuff like that.
Okay, and
that would be one. Send me the listing too. I get it approved ahead of time.
thank you. So the fact that it doesn't have a roof and probably so how the insurance will work until the roof is replaced?
So there are insurance companies that will say, hey, we will insure this, but we're going to insure it under the assumption that the property's roof is replaced within 30 days of the buyer closing. And as long as that's done, they keep their insurance. If it's not done, their insurance is gone.
Okay. And another question is there any loan programs for investors for less than 20% or 20% down is the minimum?
20% down is the minimum.
All right, thank you.
Good question.
Thank you. Tammy from Orlando.
I had a question. So what she just talked about the roof and the holdback, how would you write that in the contract? would you want to say a roof holdback or just a holdback for escrow? How would
You
you
don't
state
have to put
that?
anything in the contract. That's
Oh, you
between
don't?
us and the buyer, so it doesn't really have to be in the contract. So the one thing your
So-
buyer needs to know, let's say the roof costs 10,000, right? We're not going to hold back 10,000. We're going to hold back 150% of that to account for any overages.
But the title company is holding that back, right?
Correct.
So
We
you
just
kind of
don't
get,
need it. Yeah, we don't need it in the contract, but if title wants it on there, they can do it. It's fine.
okay. Do you do foreign nationals?
We do.
What do you
Do you
need on
do-
the Paul?
On foreign nationals, the qualification's pretty, it's not really that complicated. We're not really going to verify a lot of their foreign income. Some of them who have some US credit, I mean, that's a bonus. It'll get a little more loan to value. Those down payments are going to be between 30 and 40%, just depending on the situation.
Sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
I think that was it. I had another question, but I think I forgot it. So
Oh, I'm sorry. If you think of it again, feel free.
it's not
Stella.
you, it's me.
I get that a lot. Stella,
Hi, so if I have a property that is tenant occupied and the seller is gonna be the primary residency, within how many days they have to move in?
So the rule, this is not a Paul Massey rule. This is a government guideline. They have to occupy the property within 60 days. If they're going to
60.
buy it as a primary residence.
Okay, so we can still keep the tenants like around 2 months after closing.
Correct.
Okay, great.
awesome. Miguel,
Yeah, so a fix and flip, you doing any fix and flip?
We do.
What's the loan to value on that?
I think it's 70, but I'll pull it up and send it to you.
Okay. All
We
right.
got like
Okay.
6 investors that do that now. They're getting really aggressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of those on that. Okay, fantastic.
Paul, what have you seen in those numbers? I'm not going to quote you on this, but what are you seeing now? I used to see stuff like 12 plus 4. What are you seeing in that hard money fix and flip market, stuff like that? It used to be 12 points plus 12% plus 4 points. What is it?
Oh, no, it's not like that at all. I mean, it could be. I mean, the sky's the limit, I guess. But I mean, we're typically doing stuff with like 2.5% up front. And most of the rates that I've seen are between 9 and 11, just depending on the situation. So they're not,
10 plus 3 is more what you're seeing then?
yeah, it's not as bad as you'd think. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Good
So,
question.
did you have a question? All right, I'm gonna mute you then. Tammy thought of her question. Go ahead.
Tammy got her
I
question.
remembered. This is
Awesome.
probably a no. This is probably a no, but I'm going to ask. Do you do business loans?
We do not.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah. I think Seacoast does those.
Back to a previous question about lot loans. You don't do construction perm, so do you have a time limit on your lot loans? What are they? Are they 1-year loans you have to renew maybe one time, or what do you have?
No, they're 10.
10-year loans. Okay.
Yep.
Interest only?
No, fully amortizing.
How much down?
30%.
Okay. Any other questions for Paul?
Trying to think of some other popular ones that I'm getting right now. We do have some down payment assistance stuff that we just got to get up to like 100% financing on FHA. So, you know, we don't love to do a ton of those, but if the market calls for it, we got to do what we got to do.
Are Hometown Heroes coming back?
I don't think so.
Why?
It's
What
not
do you
supposed
think
to.
happened?
Huh?
Why do you think that is?
I think we just don't have the money. I mean, I think we've put like 200 million into it now. So the whole goal with Hometown Heroes was to fund it for enough time that once people start paying it back, that it can kind of like fund itself, right? Because none of that money was free. So I don't know if that plan is actually going to work just because of the fact that people aren't refinancing, right? So
Right.
they're not, I mean, they're either going to have to sell or refinance to pay that money back. And I don't see people doing either one right now. So maybe that will motivate them to do it. Last year, it didn't go back into effect until July 1st. And if you guys remember, the money was gone in like 4 months. It was crazy.
Mhm.
So maybe they changed their mind on that, but there's been no news that would put any sort of positive spin on that right now.
Okay. Yeah. Every time I spend 200 million on something, I typically stop.
They usually tighten up a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 200 million is the easiest part. And then
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. 100 million is a drop in the bucket, but
All right. Any other questions for Paul? See what we got going in chat. No, nothing. Great. Any other questions for Paul?
just noticed I have a bottle of wine on my desk and it's in the picture, but that's
Well, it's been in the picture more than you have, if that makes you feel better.
it looks good from where I'm at. It's
You were leaning back for a while. We couldn't see. It was great TV.
wow.
So don't worry, I got some screenshots.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody. Anybody has any questions for Paul? Now's the time. He's going to leave us. We really appreciate the time that you spent with us, Paul. And I know that Ann has already sent you her listing. Stella, go ahead and send them. Carolina, send them your listing, please. And there we go. All right, guys. Nothing else for Paul? He's going once, going twice. Paul, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
Thank
day. Have a
you.
good week.
See you, Paul. Bye. All right, FRI agents, what do you have for us? What do you have for FRI? So I explained to a lot of you last week that Michaela has moved on and we have hired her replacement. Her name is Michelle. So now we have two Michelles. Michelle Berkheimer is the one that you'll be hearing from in Michaela's old chair. And Michelle Machado, as you guys know, is our marketing coordinator. So we have two Michelles now, just to add to your confusion. You're welcome. But we hired the best candidate, even if she had the same name as our other wonderful marketing director. So please let me know if you have any questions for me. Now is the time. Now is your time to ask. Tammy from Orlando.
Did you ever find that those checks
No.
or money? I think it's probably lost in the mail, honestly. I don't think it ever got to you guys. is
I
what
don't
I'm
think it
thinking.
did either. No, we have
Okay.
found everything else. So we were missing some other checks for a little bit. We found everything yesterday. So
Okay, so you didn't find anything for me then?
didn't find that. No.
Okay.
And you guys, you have to be really careful about sending money orders. We don't demand money orders.
Number one, the other agent recommended that, and I didn't suggest it. And so
So
is he
here's
out
what-
is he out the money?
Yeah. You can't, a money order, you give cash to somebody and they give you a money order, like 7-Eleven or, somewhere, and they'll give you a money
And he
order.
went to Publix, and yeah.
Publix has his money and they gave him, it's like giving him cash back. So it's like losing cash. That's why money orders are attractive, but we're not a payday loan company. You don't have to pay commission with that. So what happened is at some point somebody demanded that for rent or something. And so some agent didn't understand that you don't do it for everything. You don't have to do that for us. We make sure your check's clear before we pay you. You guys know that. When the check comes to the office, we make sure they clear before we pay you. Now typically, if you need a $500 check turned around, we'll take that risk. But if it's a $15,000 check, we're going to make sure it clears
I
before
mean,
we pay.
we should have met them and got it from them personally. And the way, she was very professional, the way she handled everything. But I kind of wondered about that myself. Of course, of all things getting lost in the mail, cashier check.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you drop it off. Well,
Cashier's check, a money order. Yeah, a money
cashier's
order.
check is fine. You can lose a cashier's check, but not a
So
money.
do I demand that do I just say, oh, forget it and not take a payment for,
No, I mean, that's tough. I'd wait a little bit longer to see if it turns up, but they can also check and see if it ever got cashed, I believe.
That's what he was going to Publix today. And that's what I wondered too, if there was a number and see if it got cashed and maybe if you could stop payment on it or something. I don't know.
You can't once it's cashed, but you might be able to stop payment on it.
Yeah.
If it's lost in the mail, I don't know about that with money
Yeah.
orders.
Yeah. Okay.
So we demand money order. A property management side will demand money orders if they've been bouncing checks to us. But
Right.
otherwise, and maybe that's where she's coming from with that money, demanding money orders. But no, you don't have to give money orders for commission or whatever.
I
And
agree.
so just so
I
you-
told
those
them to
of you
send
guys
a
out there-
personal check a personal check or I gave them the wiring instructions. And then she did the money order thing for her stuff. And they probably just did that on mine too.
Yep. So the personal check is fine on those guys. So what Tammy's talking about is when people pay you for leasing their property, or if they pay you a retainer, if they pay whatever, don't have them mail a money order. Lots of stuff gets lost in the mail. We have to chase down these checks from your CDAs all the time. And you guys, those of you who have the times that you can't do CDAs and they mail a check to the office for $12,500, you guys have had to call us and we never got it. And we have to do it, and they track it to the mail, and they never made it through the mail for whatever reason, and they'll reissue. But so don't have people send us money orders. But yeah, I know there is some recourse to that. People have stolen our mail before and tried to cash money orders and stuff like that. And a lot of times they're successful because people don't look closely at who it's made out to. So, oh gosh, I got a line. Christina.
Hey, I just wanted to let everybody know about some upcoming properties I have. I've got one, if you know any investors, I have one that's actually in our lease management program at FRI. It's in the UCF area. It's a 4-2 on a big lot with a fence. It was renovated when my seller purchased it, I think 5 years ago. So that one is currently, we're going to be asking, I think $379. It's running for $21.95. You want any information, send me a message or email me. I'm Christina Sells Orlando at Gmail. I got another one coming in East Orlando. Super cute house.
Well, we're in suspense now. But Christina Sells Orlando is her. Wait, let me put this in here. I'm going to put this in here, Christina. There she goes. Christina Sells Orlando at gmail.com. Okay, somehow I've turned on closed captions. All right, we'll just move on. She'll be back. Olga.
Good morning. Well, this is the first time that I am representing both the seller and the buyer, and I don't know if I need to have something signed by the buyer.
Yeah, you do. So you should have used your listing agreement. Hopefully you used the one that we tell you, the transaction broker, exclusive right to sale transaction broker. And if you did that, you're clear on the seller side. On the buyer side, you still have to submit a buyer brokerage agreement, or you can just do, if they don't want to sign that, you can just do a showing agreement for this property, this one property. To refresh your memory on that, buyer brokerage agreement is for an amount of time, no matter what they do for amount of time, and the showing agreement is for a property, and it's not for time. It's just for properties, how many ever properties they want to see. So if they refuse to sign a buyer brokerage agreement because they don't want to be tied to you for 3 months or a month or however long you make it for, then you give them the option of, okay, you just want to see these 3 houses. Here they are on the showing agreement, and you are only bound to me on these 3 houses. And if you buy any of these, you're going to owe me 3%. Okay, so that's how that works. But yeah, so just slide the showing agreement in with their documents to close, or to the offer. Okay.
And the other one, you say the buyer's agreement.
Yeah, you can use the buyer's agreement or that.
Okay.
You can use either one, but have them sign it with thing. And you don't send that to the listing agent with the offer. So do it separately, but have them sign that because we need it.
I am the listing, so I'm representing both.
Right. Okay. So don't send it to your seller though. Okay, because you're going to send the contract, you're going to send the offer to your seller to sign, but don't send your buyer brokerage agreement with that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, but they don't need it. Is that
okay? Because I already I'm almost going to close, and I haven't give anything to the buyer.
Well, tell them they need to sign this.
Okay.
Otherwise, your broker is mean and they will not pay you.
Oh, okay.
I know them and they won't. So you have to have your buyer brokerage agreement because that's a violation. If this property was on MLS, guys, if the property is on MLS, to answer your next question about commercial or anything else, if it's on MLS, you've got to have the buyer brokerage agreement or showing agreement. Okay.
Okay. That's okay.
And hopefully, did you use the right listing agreement? Please check and make sure you use the transaction broker listing agreement.
I use whatever is on the I use dot loop. So,
Well, I don't know what they've got on there. So make sure you're using the right one.
They have it on there, but there's several. You got to make sure you pick the right one
oh
for
wow.
transaction broker.
Yeah, there's going to be several. Well, what's the address of this? Olga,
What?
what's the address?
It's 5229 Lakewood.
Woodcrest?
Sorry, Woodcrest. Yes.
I see it. Well, first of all, you got to turn in a bunch of paperwork. Second of all, including your listing agreement, and if this is the one you used,
Yes.
it's the wrong one. So you need to transition to transaction broker. Also, it's not signed. You give me a blank one. So you just didn't save the right one. Okay, so I'll get a release and cancellation. Did you have a previous buyer who backed out?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, I need all new paperwork from you. Okay. So
Oh,
get that listing agreement and put it in here. But your listing agreement you have, your seller needs to sign a transition to transaction broker. This is why you should use the transaction broker when to start, in case you get both sides, or in case another one of our agents gets the other side. You will run into our agents. A lot of our agents have run into each other out there in the field, buying and selling on different sides. Agents didn't necessarily even know each other. They're just both with FRI. We have about 600 realtors, so you're going to run into each other. And so you need to have the seller sign, write this down. The seller needs to sign a transition to transaction broker, and your buyer needs to sign either the showing agreement or the buyer brokerage agreement. Okay.
okay.
Along with the whole other checklist. You got the whole checklist is wide open. All right.
Okay.
Let us know if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank
I'm
you.
going to go back to Christina. Christina, you got cut off. You were telling us about your lovely little house.
Oh, thank you. It is lovely. Okay, so I don't know where I got cut off, but I'll just quickly. It's a 4.2. I think it's around 1,800 square feet. Fence, it's rented currently for $21.95 with FRI handling the property management. It's leased until the end of September. And I have another one coming in like just below 400, I believe, in East Orlando. It's got Tesla solar panels, backup battery. The owner passed. His sibling is selling it, but it's in really good shape, actually. A newer roof, really great shape. He did take care of it before he passed. And I have one. I don't know if you guys know where Sunshine Gardens is. It's kind of like where it's kind of behind where the old Aura building used to be. So it's kind of in between like Lee Road and Fairbanks. So it's like a really cute College Park adjacent neighborhood. I've got a 3-1 going in there. I don't know if Daryl's on the call. I know Daryl had one there that was super cute. I don't know if his one went pending yet or not, but it's in that same neighborhood. And that one's going to be coming in the low 3s. And then I also want to say really quickly, I don't know regarding like this whole, thing that we're in with the buyer brokers and the MLSs, and we got new forms every 5 minutes. Just to make everybody aware, I heard it was like RAS Media, one of these things. I think it's like this magazine, this real estate magazine we get through our membership with Aura. They were talking about another MLS where they are actually going to be, I guess, periodically checking. It's something like between the board and the MLS. They're going to be checking that people have the buyer broker agreement and at what date it was signed, and then finding. I hope that Stellar doesn't start doing that. I mean, obviously we all need to be doing it, but I just wanted to. That's a thing in another state, so I just think like we need to be aware of that. I mean, I don't know how aggressive they're going to be with checking, but some places are checking when we're getting the buyer brokerage situation signed.
Christina, I have a question. Any of your homes are close to Alafair Trail in UCF?
The one that I have that is leased, that one is, it's not far. It's like, I think it's 32817, the zip. So it's not far from Alafaya.
And what is the size? That's the 3-bedroom?
Yeah, I want to say it's like, that one is a 4-2. And I want to say it's
The
like
asking price you
17.
said was how much?
That one we're going to be listing at 379.
Oh, you haven't listed yet.
Nope, we're in process of getting that on the market.
But it's not leased, it's empty, right?
No, that's the leased one. That one has a lease. It has a tenant until September 30th. It's leased at $21.95.
Okay, okay. All right, we'll look it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ann,
Yes, I just sent few listing. I think it's good deal. I just want to share with you guys. See hopefully you have a buyer for me. One, the short-term rental property 389. The seller put in about 450, about 390 something to buy it. She put another almost 50K to fix the property, and she put in total 450. Now she sell for 389. And is update. It is nice. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and short-term rental. You can do short-term or long-term. If you have a buyer, please let me know. And I have 4.3 acre in St. Cloud for 200. Some wetland, agricultural zoning, and a commercial one over 1 acre. If you know anybody, please let me know.
the agricultural listing can be changed to residential easily. Is that in the future land use for residential?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
wonderful. Okay, any other questions or comments before we go? Anybody want to share a listing? What we got in the Daryl closing tomorrow? Awesome.
Okay, I have a listing to share. It's in Davenport. It's a vacation home, and it's fully furnished, so nobody will have to spend on furnishing. He's really motivated to sell. He's got something that's come up. He bought like a year and a half ago. Really in good shape. If somebody's interested, he's at I think 6 or 610, but he's motivated. So motivation means he'll sell. So if you bring a good offer, he'll do it.
What do you think it's worth, Sunan?
We have priced it with the comps in the area, but the biggest plus is you don't have to spend on furnishing. And
Right.
he has a Mickey and a mini room and you name it. I mean, it'll get rented. It's a single family home. It's in Solterra Resort. Pulte home, great shape, and furniture is excellent. Pool with pool furniture. So, it's ready to go to rent it.
Will you put the address in chat, please? And
Yeah,
Brian, I
I'll
don't
just
know
put
why-
right-
Brian just put his email in there. I don't know what that's for, but maybe it's for this. I don't know.
Okay, I'll just put it, thank you, Ryan.
And put your email in there too, Sunan.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Yeah, Christina's interested too. So put your email and the address, please. Tammy,
Has anybody heard advertised on the radio? It's called Redi, R-E-D-I, I think. And have you heard it? They're advertising agents buying seller. I don't know if you're going in and I don't know how that's working.
they're trying to sell leads to you guys and the direct buyers to you. If those buyers go that, they say, oh, these agents are going to pay $1,000 and $2,000 for leads, and they're going to really treat you well because they paid a lot for you. It's a really weird. I mean, I didn't
It
really get it.
almost sounds like you, to me, I was thinking that you're bidding on the seller to I don't know. It was weird. I haven't called on it.
I don't think
Yeah.
it sounds like that. I think that's exactly what it is. Like I'll pay
Yeah.
$800 for that seller and you come in at $1,200 and I come back at $1,500 and then
Yes.
here comes Christina at $2,000 and she gets them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't, maybe Christina doesn't have to pay until closing or something, but
Right.
why, good does that do the seller? I mean, I get to get money off, but they get a lot more money off if they just negotiated a lower commission.
I almost feel like it's maybe because of this new law with they don't have to pay commission. So now people are maybe willing to vie for listings more. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's kind of strange, but
Oh, yeah, and I want to cover something in chat. Letitia, so I don't know the answer to that question,
Okay.
but I'd love to, if you want to look into that, it'd be great. Letitia, you mentioned in the chat the Miami board calling them to place a listing for yes. So you guys, as realtors, you can call most boards all over the state that you are not a member of, and they will post a listing for you. In this case, Letitia has someone that, or the seller, she's probably doing some kind of limited service, whatever, but the seller is going to show their own house. She can list something anywhere in the state, and they're charging her $200, which is surprisingly hasn't gone up that much over the years because it used to be like $180. So they're going to charge her $200. She sends them the photos. She sends them the MLS data entry sheet. They put it on for her for $200. So that's cheaper than we would do it here, because we charge. I don't know if you guys know this, boards that we're members of, we charge $250 for putting them on for you guys, because we don't want to do it. And but it doesn't stop you guys sometimes. But you handle all the showings, you handle everything else, all the phone calls. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work because people, I don't know if you guys know this, but realtors don't always read the realtor remarks before they call. And so we get a lot of questions about those listings and stuff like that. But you can call a board that you're not a member of. If you're a realtor somewhere else, you can call a board that you're not a member of and they'll put a listing on for you. So yes, is the answer to that. You can do that and it's perfectly fine. And in fact, when you guys put a listing in, sometimes it asks you if you're I don't know what the other option is. It's the one you always choose, or if you're at the association. It says office or association. That is for when people at the association put it in for you. So you're always office. All right. But yes, Letitia, it's a perfectly fine idea to do that. If the seller is going to handle the showings for you, perfectly fine. Christina.
I'm just trying to get a little bit more information. So if I want to have my listing visible in the Miami Association of Realtors, I can just pay the fee, and then will they put my information in there for contact,
Yep,
or what?
of course.
How does that?
No, yep, you're absolutely. It'll say out of area agent, but they'll put you in the realtor remark.
Really? Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Okay.
Yeah, they're not
but
going to
she
put.
can advertise an Orlando house in the Miami MLS
Of course.
or Orlando listing.
Yeah, you'll see houses in there for. I'm going to do it right now. I'm on Matrix. I'm going to go to search residential. I'm going to go down to. I'm going to go down to county. It's got every county in here. I'm going to search Alachua might be in it now. Let's search Palm Beach County.
Broward.
Just Palm Beach. We know Palm Beach isn't in it. I'm just picking the first one I see. Or Broward would be fine. I got 47 listings in Palm Beach County that are active. So not a lot, but some people from Palm Beach are putting them in the Orlando thing. Yeah, so 47 listings in Palm Beach. If you went to Miami-Dade, well,
Interesting.
there's only one way to find out. Let's put in Miami-Dade. And there are 48 in Miami-Dade, 47 in Palm Beach that people have put into the Stellar MLS, which does not cover that area. Obviously, if it covered that area, there'd be a lot more. So there you go. You absolutely can do it. So if you have something that you think that would be of interest to people in Miami, of course, they're not going to search much there for it, and it costs you a couple $100. So there you go. We do get that a lot though with like Space Coast. Obviously, Space Coast are going to advertise in Stellar because it's Orlando's a top buyer for. Same with New Smyrna. I don't know if you guys know this. New Smyrna has their own board. Some of you guys are members there because who buys in New Smyrna? Orlando people.
I thought New Smyrna switched to ours. No.
I don't think they have. You know, Daytona has their own board too. So if you I get a lot of people who do both of those, and they'll put it in both. You know, it's easy for them because typically they're going to be a primary member over there, and it's just a couple $100 a year to be a secondary member somewhere else. And I say a couple, 300 or 400. You don't have to pay FAR and NAR again, and so it's cheaper. Okay, Christina, you still have your hand up, or do you have another?
Yeah, I think I just still had it up. Sorry.
All right. Any other questions before we go? Someone added to chat. Okay, Letitia's happy with that. You guys see. So Nina's email and stuff is in there for that listing. Olga.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look for what is that I need from the buyer?
The
'Cause I
buyer
see so
is
many different.
buyer brokerage agreement for the buyer, or that's on paperless pipeline under the reference tab, are the ones for us. But you can use the ones off of Loop or whatever. Exclusive buyer brokerage agreement.
Exclusive?
Buyer brokerage agreement. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And don't forget your transition to transaction broker. That is a law. This buyer brokerage thing is just because of this NAR settlement. No matter what you do, though, even if it's not on MLS, if you don't use the transaction broker form originally for your listing, you do have to transition to transaction broker.
Okay.
Because right now you're a single agent, and that is not legal to represent both sides if you're a single agent. That's actually a legal violation, and FREC will not like that. Juliana.
Okay.
Just a quick question regarding leases, rentals. The basic requirement is for the tenant to make 3 times the rent. Is that legal to ask for that? For the income?
Absolutely, it's legal. Yes, I mean they're looking to rent something. You ask them whatever questions you want, except for protected class type stuff.
Right. But what would be the best income to be guided by?
3 to 1 is standard.
1.
It's standard. Okay. But if you're, I mean, are you the landlord? Who's the landlord?
Yeah, my client is the landlord.
Okay, they make the final decision. If they really like somebody or they really want somebody not based on a protected class or race, religion, any of that stuff, but if they really think somebody will be a good tenant, then they can do that. Maybe somebody's been at the same job for 20 years, or maybe they know them, or maybe whatever, there's all kinds of different reasons that somebody thinks somebody's a good tenant.
It's just because we've got a couple, lots of people inquiring about the property, but none of them are with that income. They're not their income is not qualifying. So I'm wondering, is that too much or what's happening? People don't have the income nowadays.
No, you don't lower your standards just because you have to kiss a few frogs. You have to keep, you have your thing. And lots of people, what so when I was in college, I used to sell security systems door to door. And who buys every time? People with bad credit. They buy everything. That's why they have bad credit, because they can't say no to anything. And so you're going to have lots of people interested who can't afford it. That's who's going to be most interested. And the reason they can't afford it is because they like everything and they buy everything and they can't pay for everything. So we used to laugh about that. You would brag about, I had 11 sales this week and only 3 qualified. Like, if you go to and lots of bad people with bad credit, they're going to buy it. They'll sign up. And
Okay.
so that's it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Next week, we have a special presentation, again, this time with a title company who's going to give you lots of good stuff. I think it's First American next week. In fact, I know it's First American next week. So we're excited about that. Heidi will be here. Those of you remember her, she's very good. And I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, if you need anything, we're here. Michelle and I are plugging away. I'm training Michelle. She's coming along nicely. So I am in the office all the time right now, and I am so happy. So I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.